Okay, let's go ahead and get started so we make the most of our short time together. Welcome to our special show and tell pop-up series, Early Childhood Innovation for Impact in a Crisis. My name is Kylie Burke. I'm a senior advisor with Promise Ventures Studio, and I'm a lifelong early childhood educator and advocate. And thank you again for taking a short break out of your day to join me and our guest, Megan. Today's event is part of a series that we're hosting that supports Promise's mission of catalyzing innovation and impact in early childhood by attracting, supporting, and connecting social entrepreneurs, stakeholders, and capital to drive outcomes for families facing the greatest adversities. And right now, while the world battles this crisis, families are under an unprecedented level of stress as they face uncertainty, economic hardship, and a lack of social supports. And as we all know, brain development is critical during the first 5 years of life, and the impact of stress is so great. Our young children are particularly vulnerable right now. But in the midst of all this adversity and strain, there are wonderful stories of hope, like the one we'll feature today about Tinkergarten. The Show and Tell series is designed to shine a spotlight on some of the innovative work taking place across the early childhood community, a community that has never needed innovation more than it does right now during this crisis. So let's get started with our conversation with today's presenter, Megan Fitzgerald. Megan spent 16 years as an educator, a curriculum developer, and a school leader in public and private schools in New York, Massachusetts, and California. And now she says she has her dream job as an entrepreneur, an educator, and a mom who helps families everywhere embrace learning together outdoors. Tinkergarten is a tech-enabled network of leaders that brings families together in natural environments within their community for classes where children learn through play. Each class becomes its own little tight-knit community of learners, with adults and children from as young as 6 months old all the way through 8 years old, all learning together through well-designed outdoor play-based activities. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for the honor of being here. I'm excited to be part of the Show and Tell series. It's great.
Excellent. So, I think outdoor play really resonates, not just with early childhood educators, but families really value time outdoors as well. When you ask folks to think about their most fond memories from childhood, they'll usually talk about play experiences, and many of times those experiences were outside. Riding a bike with the wind in your hair, climbing a tree, digging in the dirt, building that fort with the sticks that you find in your backyard. I think now, more than ever, people are longing for outdoor play. So can you briefly describe where you were focusing your efforts at Tinkergarten prior to COVID-19?
Absolutely. So prior to COVID-19, just as you described, well, we started Tinkergarten in 2012 and began even prior to that doing research about how children learn during the early years and what role play and then the setting, or specifically an outdoor setting, plays in that development. And did exactly what you just described. We've asked thousands of adults now what their favorite memories of childhood were and what the most prominent memories were, and they nearly always took place in an outdoor landscape. And these stories were stories of agency and actualization and creativity and problem solving and imaginative play, and really kind of mapped back to the long term, sort of what we think of as 21st century skills, or the skills like creative problem solving, empathy, the things that we know our children are going to need to thrive in the future. And someone who loved the system I was a part of as a teacher and a principal also recognized that that system wasn't being designed to support those skills. And increasingly, there's a play gap for my kids in my school, and less opportunity to have some of those really child-led play experiences, open-ended, well-designed to help build those essential long-term skills. And so when we became parents, Brian, ed tech leader through his career, me, educator, school leader, felt this incredible pressure and uncertainty about how we were going to make the most of the early learning years. And everything went back to play and nature for us. Nature is a setting that is wonderfully supportive of the senses, just gives hands-on learning opportunities for children to discover all kinds of things, but also calming and centering, and helps children focus. And once you have children and you see what difference it means for your child to be outdoors, both while they're outside and even after they come back in, you don't really need all the brain research that we also have that tells you that's so important for them. So we felt really strongly that we wanted to support families in learning more about how to make that outdoor time count, how to support play, but how to do it in an outdoor setting. So we started offering classes. I was the first teacher, but we've now trained thousands of teachers we call Tinkergarten leaders to lead our curriculum in their local parks. And that is a beloved program. And unfortunately, right now, that is on hold because we also need to be very caring members of our community and support all of the social distancing. But we are very ready to get back out there as soon as it's safe to do those same programs and deliver it in person through a really well trained and very talented teacher.
Yeah, and that's a perfect transition because obviously with the closure of schools and all of our beautiful public spaces and parks are closed right now, and social distancing rules, the focus of your work has really shifted. So can you talk a bit about the way Tinkergarten has pivoted to support family members while they're sheltering in place and following these social distancing rules?
Absolutely. Well, we've always had a curriculum, but it's been a group-based teacher-led curriculum. But in that, there's also always been a stream of parent education that comes with the program. So if you've been enrolled in a class, you've learned along yourself about how kids learn, how to support play, what are some basic play facilitation techniques that are really easy to implement that help kids sort of learn as they're designed to learn and help you feel like a supporter of play, even if you're an overwhelmed parent like we all are.
Yes.
So we've taken out a good bit of that parent education, and we've tried to create a program that not only continues to help you learn about your child, but helps you with really actionable, easy weekly activity plans. So plans that are all around a theme each week, a theme in early learning, for example, using the big muscles of the body. So when we give you age-appropriate ways to help babies and toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age kids set up play experiences that support that particular aspect of early learning. And they're only using things that you'd have at home, whether you're indoors, outdoors, whatever kind of space you have, to help parents balance off all the screen time, to fill the day with hands-on play experiences that can leverage outdoors as much as you're able to. And that's called Tinkergarten at Home. And you sign up by email and you receive a PDF plan every Sunday for the next week. But there's also a live session you can join to see everything demonstrated through our Facebook Live and Instagram Live on Tuesdays. We send parenting tips and blog posts and videos midweek just to help you get through this time, but also make sense of the playful learning. And then we celebrate a lot. So we have a free Facebook group that's now grown to 7,000 really engaged and active people sharing their photos and videos and support. So there's community, there's content, and there's parenting tips and advice just to help us think about how to bring play and independent play into the mix for our kids and for ourselves.
Yeah. And I know that sense of community is something that's really important to you. And even as someone who's had the pleasure of participating in Tinkergarten classes, one of the things I loved most about that is that sense of community, that those Tinkergarten leaders, yes, they're teaching children and providing these great, rich learning experiences for young children, but as they go, they're also teaching families. They're teaching about child development. They're teaching the right kinds of questions to ask to engage children in learning. And the families themselves are learning from each other as well. So that online community piece is just, I think, a very nice extension of what you were already doing to support families in your live classes, or in your face-to-face classes, I should say.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's also nice where we're all feeling very isolated right now. I think that ability to feel connected. But when it was Earth Day, we welcomed everyone to celebrate the Earth's birthday as a way with little kids to mark Earth Day. And we had thousands of images flooding in, and we made a giant birthday card. So there's an opportunity in this moment to welcome people. We had Botswana and Europe and all over the United States, and families we've never been able to reach before, plus those who are near and dear. And it was really exciting to feel for my kids and for me and everyone involved that you are very isolated right now, but you're part of something, and you're not alone. You're in this with others. That's almost as important
Yeah.
as having the right insight or the right idea for how to help your kids play, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So a couple of questions that have come in that I just want to make sure we clarify. One, you haven't mentioned the fact that all of this is free. Um,
Yes,
this is all free to any family who wants to join.
absolutely.
And the other piece that is really special and important is that it's available in both English and Spanish, and you have
Yeah.
parity there. And that is very important for making sure that we can reach more families right now.
Absolutely. And that's a huge goal of ours and always has been. What's exciting right now is by taking content and being able to distribute it in this way. It's not the same as we can send an amazing Tinkergarten leader to everyone's home, but we can send ideas, we can send support, and we want to do that for families everywhere, because every family is struggling right now and is really facing challenges, whether there are challenges are you've been home, but now your supports that you used to leverage to support teaching your child are shut down, or you are like me, you are now working at home and trying to educate your kids.
Yes.
We're all struggling and we all need support. So every family that we can reach, we want to be able to reach, and we don't want to ask any more of that family than to use which pieces of Tinkergarten at home feel right and helpful to them.
Yes, and that is that brings us to our next piece. But I just want to mention that we've added the URL in chat. So if you want to check out some sample activities about what Megan just described, or if you want to join the community or be able to pass that along to families, you can find that link in the URL below. So, Megan, how can the folks listening today help support this incredible work that you're doing for the community right now?
Absolutely. You can do this in a couple of ways. Absolutely join us and give us feedback on, if you're a parent, if you're an educator, we're ever learning about what it means to directly teach our families out there. So, but please share with families, either in your circles or if you're part of an organization that supports families and you believe like us that time outdoors and play are really important in the mix right now. And I think it's so critical for balancing my own children's day to not only have a block for outdoor play, but to know how I can help them spend that time. If you have families that you think could benefit from that, please let them know. Share out the link to tinkergarten.com/at-home. We want as many families to benefit as we possibly can. And if there's any partners, especially those supporting diverse communities that we haven't been able to reach into before because we've been able to spin up one at a time, in a location, we'd love to reach more families and support them. So please let me know. You can contact me if there's a partnership that you can think about or a way for us to reach even more families. That's really our ultimate goal, is just to help as many people in this time as we can.
That's great. Thank you so much. So for those in attendance today, you will see a poll on your screen to connect with Megan. So remember, folks, the primary function of these events is to facilitate connections between those doing meaningful work in service of young children and their families, like Megan, and to be able to connect her with all of you. So if you think you can help her reach more families with these free resources and continue to provide the help and connection that families really need during this time through community, please opt in to connect with Megan. So thank you, Megan. Thank you
You're
all
welcome.
for joining us today.
You're welcome. I did see, I don't know if we have time, but I did see one question pop into chat, and that's about our leaders. And our teacher leaders are very much still engaged. We are actively planning how to come back up and be ready and know that time outdoors is going to be even more important. But you can also see our teachers really actively involved in our Outdoors All For Facebook group and sharing on our Instagram feed and in their local groups. They're actually demonstrating the different activities for their local communities, and it's beautiful. So our teacher leaders are very involved in the work of reaching families everywhere too. So that's a great question.